Cancer. I know a lot about cancer. As you can see, I'm not a doctor. I'm a dirt guy. But my mother-in-law died of breast cancer. My wife died of breast cancer. My best friend in the Marines died of pancreatic cancer. He didn't even know he had it. When he found out he had it, he didn't last a month and a half. I know about cancer, and I know about mistakes. We made a lot of mistakes with my wife's cancer. She survived for 20 years. She had triple negative breast cancer. They biopsied that. They treated her until we couldn't see it anymore. And then she went about 5 years. And then something on her side looked like one of them glands was messing up. I made her go into the doctors again. She looked and they looked. They didn't see it on her blood. They felt that lump. And then they did a PET scan. They said, uh-oh. This time, they did another biopsy. It wasn't triple negative. This time it was some R2 stuff. It was positive. Who knew? So they treated it with hormonal therapy. Come to find out, they didn't realize that there was still some triple negative left, just a little bit. Now, when you start thinking about cancer, you've got to start thinking about microscopics. Because if you're not thinking about microscopic things, then you don't understand this animal. And there's a lot of doctors who are going to tell you a lot of things that just flat out are not true. Like right now, knowing what I know, all the different people that have gotten cancer and what happens with it and different types of operations and all that stuff. Number one, if you have something that looks like cancer, you diagnose that bad boy through a PET scan. And oncologists try to tell you, you can't do that. It's a lie. You most certainly can. You won't be able to tell exactly what kind of cancer that it is, but you could definitely do it. Sorry for the interruption. But they're going to want a biopsy. No way in hell will I let anybody biopsy anything else on my body. It's just not going to happen. 2 reasons. One, I have sarcoidosis, and there were some lesions in my lungs. So they want a biopsy. Didn't look like cancer. They don't think it's cancer. They want a biopsy to make sure. So me, still ignorant of the whole processes, I let them do it. So they stick a needle through my rib cage into my lung. Got the biopsy. Got a little air on the outside of my lung. If you've ever had that experience, oh boy, what a lot of fun that is. Very painful. And you lose some breath. And I lost breath that I never got back from that biopsy. I'm still okay, but I never got it all back. So then they say, no, you don't have it. It's sarcoidosis and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Then I started learning about biopsies. And you stick a needle into a sealed tumor, or growth, if you want to call it, and you pop that thing. Number one, the needle's making a cavity on its way in. Small one, but it's making a hole. And then when you grab that whatever it is, and you get those whatever it is on the outside of that needle, as you pull that needle back through that hole, microscopic pieces of the whatever are now in that hole. Well, if you know anything about liquids, you know that liquids go to the place of least resistance. That's why when you poke a needle into your skin, and you pull it back out, you start to bleed because the liquids are all going to that hole and that cavity that you've created there to where they're going to start coming out. And if a doctor, they're going to tell you, no, the cross-contamination with a needle, no, that doesn't really happen. That's a lie. That's a flat-out lie. And if you want to figure out how that's a lie, then you tell them, okay, if somebody takes a needle and sticks it in a cyst with MRSA, would you stick that same needle in your arm? Of course not, because the outside of the needle has MRSA on it. When you pull that needle out of that cancerous tumor, and I'm not a doctor, it leaves trace. Just like a comet going through space leaves trace. It leaves trace. And then that trace gets in the blood. And you know where that blood's going? Does anybody know where that blood's going? It's going to the lymph nodes. And when it goes to the lymph nodes, because they're little filters, and when it goes to the lymph nodes, it's going to drop off some of these microbes in the lymph nodes. Now guess what? You're metastatic. Yeah, now it's in your blood. Now little pieces of that shit can go wherever they go. And given the right circumstances, will multiply. By cancer getting into your blood, and going into your lymph nodes, and more blood coming in and getting filtered through your lymph nodes and all that, cancer is spread throughout your body. You can have cancer start anywhere. Your esophagus, whatever, and end up in your liver, end up in your kidneys, end up all over the place. That's how it happens. If my wife, we did this brand new again, she has since died of breast cancer. She died February 28, 2024, after at least 20 years of fighting cancer. If my wife and I knew then what we know now, in the very beginning, we would have done no radiation, we would have done no chemo, we would have found a cancer surgeon. We would have had that surgeon do a full mastectomy, double, both sides, and we would have had a plastic surgeon give her beautiful new boobs so that she would love her life again. And then the possibility of her cancer coming back would be so slim in comparison to, let's take this little lump out, now let's test and see about these lymph nodes. Now we're creating all these cavities. We're creating all this where there's still trace left in some tissue that we don't know about. When she did the immunotherapy, there was still a little bit of the triple negative left. It was hiding behind the scar tissue from before. Immunotherapy doesn't do well with triple negative cancer. In reality, it grows back with it, and it did. So now she ended up with 3 little places on her breast that we had to deal with. And they decided, okay, we're going to finally do the mastectomy, and then we're going to give her one boob back. The other boob we're not going to touch. It's so stupid. It makes no sense the way they deal with this stuff. So they did. And when I talked to, but first they got to go through chemo again. We got to reduce the size of these things. We have to. So when I talked to the surgeon, and I told the surgeon she wasn't able to do all of her chemo, so it didn't get reduced, the surgeon looked at me and said, I don't care. I'm taking it all. I didn't care if it was shrunk or not. I said, well, why did we do it? She said, ask the oncologist. I had nothing to do with that. I don't do chemo. That's when I realized. I realized what this is. She should get a full mastectomy, both boobs, and live her life. No biopsies. It's not necessary. And it spreads cancer. Truth.